Imagine this. It's 1900, and you're holding a magazine from 124 years into the future. As you flip through its pages, you see profiles of extraordinary people, scientists, athletes, innovators, and leaders. But as you turn each page, something strange happens. These people begin to vanish. Their names, faces, and achievements fade into nothing. Confused, you ask, why are they disappearing? Then comes the chilling truth. These people were never born. Entire lives, entire generations erased before they even had a chance to exist. The most shocking revelation. At least 160 million of them are from one nation, Russia. This is the story of how leadership decisions erase not just individual lives, but the future of a nation. When we speak of Russia's missing millions, we focus on those within the geographic boundaries of today's Russian Federation, encompassing its time as part of the Russian Empire, the Soviet Union, and the modern Russian state. While the broader populations of the Russian Empire or USSR included Ukraine, Belarus, and Central Asia, this story centers on Russia itself, its people, its families, and its lost future. At the start of the 20th century, Russia was a rising global power. In 1900, Russia's population within modern borders stood at 56 million, driven by the high fertility rates of agrarian societies. Other countries with similar demographic profiles, large, agrarian, and still developing, offer useful comparisons. For instance, China had a population of approximately 400 million, India about 240 million, and Brazil 17 million. Even the United States, with its mix of agrarian and industrial economies, had 76 million people at the time. Over the next century, the trajectories of these nations diverged dramatically. By 2024, China's population had grown to over 1.4 billion, despite periods of devastating famine and conflict. India also reached over 1.4 billion, overcoming the challenges of colonial exploitation and partition. Brazil, starting with a much smaller base, grew from 17 million to over 215 million, fueled by economic development and immigration. Even the United States, despite 2 world wars and the Great Depression, expanded from 76 million to over 330 million, achieving sustained growth through industrialization, immigration, and prosperity. In contrast, Russia grew from 56 million in 1900 to just 147 million by 2024. This stark discrepancy underscores the devastating toll of wars, purges, and failed leadership that repeatedly decimated Russia's population. These losses were not just numbers. They were entire generations erased, severing family lines and stifling cultural, scientific, and economic potential. World War I was the first devastating blow. Ill-prepared and poorly led under Tsar Nicholas II, over 1.7 million people within Russia's modern borders were killed. Soldiers were sent to the front lines with insufficient equipment, often sharing rifles or scavenging weapons from the dead. Entire villages mourned the loss of their men, with widows and orphans left to face a bleak future. For every soldier lost, a ripple effect spread, depriving the nation of fathers, sons, and husbands. The Russian Civil War followed, consuming the nation after the 1917 revolution until 1922. With the Red Army battling the White Army and other factions, chaos reigned. Starvation was weaponized, with Bolshevik grain requisition brigades leaving peasants to starve. Famine pushed families to extremes, with accounts of cannibalism surfacing. Between 7 and 12 million people perished, with 8 million within modern Russia's borders. Beyond the immediate deaths, the war severed family lines, leaving millions of orphans and a society in ruins. Under Stalin, the horrors escalated. Collectivization, purges, and gulags defined his regime, erasing millions of lives. The Nazino tragedy of 1933 epitomized this brutality. Over 6,000 deportees, peasants, the urban poor, and political prisoners, were abandoned on a Siberian island with no tools or food. Chaos erupted, leading to cannibalism, and by the end, over 4,000 had died. Stalin's infamous statement, "The death of one man is a tragedy. The death of millions is just a statistic," captured his regime's dehumanization. World War II inflicted unimaginable losses. Despite warnings, Stalin signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, leaving the Soviet Union unprepared for Hitler's 1941 invasion. The siege of Leningrad alone killed over 1 million people. Between 13 and 15 million people within modern Russia's borders died, depopulating entire regions. If we tally these numbers, the direct losses, through wars, purges, and gulags, totaled 29 to 31 million. But the ripple effects extend far further. Demographic models estimate that every premature death prevented an average of 3.5 descendants. This adds approximately 130 million unrealized lives, bringing the total loss to over 160 million. These staggering numbers reflect a unique demographic catastrophe, unmatched by countries like China, India, Brazil, or the United States, which faced their own challenges yet achieved dramatic growth. The tragedy continues. The ongoing war in Ukraine has claimed as many as 700,000 Russian men, conscripted, poorly trained, and sent into brutal battles. These losses disproportionately affect men aged 18 to 60, representing 2.3% of this critical demographic. Imagine losing 1 in 40 working-age men in just 2 years. The true cost of these losses lies not just in the numbers, but in the lost potential. Imagine the scientists, doctors, artists, and leaders who were never born. Entire lineages erased, severing cultural and intellectual growth. By understanding this history, we see how leadership decisions, whether wars, purges, or misguided policies, did more than cost lives. They destroyed futures. This is the story of Russia's missing millions. It's a cautionary tale of how leadership choices can shape, or shatter, a nation's destiny. The scars left by these decisions remain etched in Russia's demographic, cultural, and economic landscape, a legacy of loss that continues to echo into the present. Please subscribe to the Intellectualist's new YouTube channel, where we present insightful videos analyzing the current events shaping the world. Turn on notifications to receive the latest updates from the channel.